So for me, it's hard for me to pick with somebody who's been rocky road. You know what I mean? It's a lot of ups and downs, roller coaster type of personality. He was supposed to have the Canelo fight years ago. From what I understand, the fight was in negotiation, a done deal pretty much, and then he pulled out. Or he said, if you're not giving me more money, I'm pulling out. As far as me, it's hard for me to pick against a guy who's just that iffy and wishy-washy. I like James Kirkland. I like his style. He's not much on the defensive side. The reason I'm picking Canelo to win, and I would say Canelo, I could picture Canelo, whatever round he stopped Angulo, I would say something like that for Canelo. I could see a TKO stoppage or some type of stoppage around the same round that he stopped Angulo. Reason being, I think the things that really have given Canelo problems isn't necessarily what James Kirkland brings. So I got to pick Canelo based on a vicious inside game. He looks like he's already at weight where he needs to be. He got his weight down. I think mentally, I would favor in the mental like strength department. I would favor Canelo. People are so emotional in boxing. It's ridiculous. It's like always about race or creed or pride or whatever. You got to give credit where credit's due. Canelo, in my opinion, looked pretty shitty in the down the stretch in the Mayweather fight. However, I give him props for being his age, being in his young 20s, fighting a guy who just beat Pacquiao pretty easily, and he looked composed the whole way through. You got to give credit for little stuff like that. When they were doing the Canelo Mayweather, that was big. That was the biggest fight since De La Hoya, and the Pacquiao Mayweather fight hadn't happened yet. So that was a huge fight, huge. And if you look how calm and composed Canelo was, it's kind of scary to be in your young 20s. A lot of other against a guy who got knocked down by Ishida. When I look at Canelo, I see mental strength and mental toughness. And I try not to hold things over people's head, but to me, James Kirkland, career-wise, has had that type of personality where it's like Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's what James Kirkland is. So he's a hell of a fighter when he's on, but it's those times when he's off. You're going to fill him out, try to feel his power. But Canelo, people sleep on him. He's a lot smarter. The things he really struggles with that I've seen, cutting off the ring is probably the number one. I think he could get a new trainer, and it could be problematic if James Kirkland could get him into like the deep waters and late rounds, because this is what James Kirkland does. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Doing my post-fight Canelo Kirkland. Absolute fireworks. Props to both fighters. Props to Canelo for the victory. He did win by scoring a brutal, I repeat, brutal knockout of James Kirkland in round 3. Now, you guys heard some snippets from my prediction. Actually, if you listen, I was actually pissed off at myself in like listening to it back, because I don't know why I said it would go as long as Angulo. For some reason, I was thinking Angulo got stopped earlier than he did. But in my opinion, as long as the fight went on longer, that would actually favor Kirkland if he was able to survive early. So I should have picked the earlier knockout, but I did tell you Canelo would be victorious based on his smarts, also just being young and composed, and the better of the two in terms of the defense and precision punching and that filthy inside game. I keep telling people. Now, there's not really much to break down for the fight. All action. Canelo, he immediately, when the bell rang, James Kirkland looked focused, and he rushed Canelo. He was backing him up into the ropes, and it looked like he might have even hurt Canelo. But Canelo turned the tables. Not letting and this goes back to what I said in my prediction, not letting the moment get too big for him, being young, but also having fought in Mexico professionally since age 15, he didn't let himself get all worried. Like, basically, if he had less composure, he could have got knocked down or something, or knocked out. But he remained calm under attack, which is what you're supposed to do as a fighter. Kirkland got too overconfident, trying to bully him, make a statement, not having a defense. And Canelo does what he does best, the boxer puncher. I told you guys Canelo is a boxer puncher. He's not a brawler. So he's going to be more systematic. Now, I got to talk about Canelo and Mayweather later in this. But as far as Kirkland, again, he was having his way at the beginning section, but then he got knocked down, just like in the Angulo fight. But the difference is Angulo fights in one mode. Canelo, I told you guys, deceptive hand speed, and he has more of a boxing brain for this stuff. like where he's gonna pick his shots and, oh shit, he's swarming. Let me compose myself. That's not gonna work, and time his shots a little bit better. Then he knocked Kirkland down. It didn't even look like Kirkland was gonna make it out of the round, and it looks like he was gonna get knocked out. Kirkland showed a hell of a heart, massive heart. Props to him for that. I'll definitely watch his next fight just off of that alone. And the second round was more of the same. Kirkland was eating some vicious shots, but he was still trying. But you could tell some of the shots may not had the same impact and power behind it like Canelo, who hadn't been knocked down. And I told you guys, Canelo has some dog in him. And people, they look, oh, he's a pretty boy, he's doing commercial. He has dog in him. Trust me, I could see these characteristics. I've seen it in fights. Canelo is the type, but he's smart, but he also wants to get even. He doesn't want you to show him up. And in that first round, he showed you that. He was getting bullied for the first part, and then he was able to score a knockdown. Just being an intelligent fighter, using your gifts. And I told you his inside fight game is filthy. Round 3, also a Canelo round. I had Canelo winning every single round, but Kirkland was showing heart. Kirkland could have won round 1 if he didn't get knocked down. You know what I mean? Because he had dominated enough of the round before the knockdown to win that round. But he got knocked down, so it was a 10-8 round for Canelo. He got knocked down somewhere else. I don't know, round 2 or 3. Kirkland got knocked down. I think it was round 3, and then he got ultimately knocked out. It's just not fighting with the type of defense and trying to overwhelm a guy who's already started to pick you off. It's exciting for the eyes. Now, let me talk about this because I seen HBO was doing their best job to kind of slander the Mayweather-Pacquiao event. As a boxing aficionado, someone who really respects and appreciates the sport of boxing, I will tell you guys like this. Me, I don't care what style you have. If you want to slug your brains out, that's cool. That's entertaining. But just like movies, I'm a huge movie buff. I don't have to watch one type. I can't only watch comedies or only watch horror movies. I like to see people get dissected. Now, one is in-your-face action and the other isn't, just like movies. Yeah, a horror movie or a Fast 7 might be more explosive action nonstop, but then it's also unrealistic in certain senses. Like you see Vin Diesel jumping out of a car when it's moving with no parachute, just crazy shit like that. Versus if you look at a more serious movie like a Schindler's List, it's still entertaining, but it's a different type of entertainment. You got to look at the characters and understand the script and like what's being said, dialogue. So that's how I view boxing, man. I don't care. Some people like, because I did videos on talking about the Gotti list. I like a Gotti style fight. I don't care, but I can also show love and appreciate the other styles of boxing too. It really doesn't matter to me. This was an explosive, nonstop action fight. However, you got to keep in mind, this is pretty much what people predicted. This is what I predicted. Kirkland doesn't have a defense. So hell of a performance, but this is to be expected. Now, HBO, again, was trying their best to compare this to Mayweather-Pacquiao. Huge difference. Listen carefully. Difference being, James Kirkland was willing to be the Mandingo warrior and bring the fight to Canelo and go out on his shield. Versus Pacquiao was fighting a more measured fight. And Pacquiao was the one that needed to change the tide and do something big. And it got to a point where Pacquiao needed a knockout in order to win. James Kirkland was willing to go for broke trying to come up with something. That's why he got knocked out by the more precise and strong Canelo. So, I mean, people keep comparing this to Mayweather-Pacquiao. I keep telling you guys over and over again, styles make fights. Had Pacquiao fought as reckless as James Kirkland, you don't think that would have created more openings for Floyd Mayweather? You know what I'm saying? So that's why when you see a guy like Mayweather in versus Canelo, it actually amplifies his performance because this is what Canelo is capable of. Taking a guy in his full weight class, above his weight class, that can punch, and seeing what Mayweather did to him versus what happened with James Kirkland, a bigger puncher than Mayweather, and also a guy who was fighting above the weight class of 154. I think it was 155 catch weight plus whatever they rehydrated to. I didn't get to catch that. So that's boxing. This is a sweet science. You see how Canelo looked clueless and couldn't get off combinations like he wanted to? That's what Mayweather does. Same thing with Pacquiao. When have you ever seen Pacquiao land 81 punches? It's because of the style matchup. Mayweather makes you fight his type of fight. So back to Canelo Kirkland, because I don't want to spend too much time trying to educate. But this is the reason. It's the style matchup. If you honestly, in your heart of all hearts, think that Canelo Cotto or Canelo versus Triple G is going to resemble this fight exactly, then you're highly mistaken, because I would say Triple G and Cotto have better defenses than James Kirkland. Now, James Kirkland could be stronger than Cotto, for example, but Cotto's a better boxer. So I'm not trying to turn this against Canelo because I predicted him to win, but you got to appreciate and understand the style matchup. Now, as far as Canelo, he did what I expected him to do, and to show that composure. I told people he had dog in him. I'm really actually happy. I want to watch the rest of his career, see what he does and what he's learned from the Mayweather loss. But stop comparing fights that have nothing to do with. That's like me comparing Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. versus Rios Alvarado 1. These aren't even the same style matchups. Of course, they're going to produce different results. Again, Kirkland willing to get blasted and knocked out in front of everybody, trying to impose his will on Canelo. If Pacquiao did that, then we might have seen a different fight where he had a better chance, but he also had a better chance of getting hurt and knocked down by a guy who was clearly ahead. So Canelo Kirkland was definitely fun. I'm about to get something to eat. And I made a video about this yesterday. I said the big three: Cotto, Canelo, and Triple G. Triple G has a fight coming up this month also. I expect him to win that. I'll do an official prediction and break down why. This is exciting. This is exciting because I got to see at least two of those three people fight. I mean, Canelo, I told you that inside game, his uppercuts, the level of composure, how he didn't punch himself out. Now, it would have been interesting if it went a little bit longer to see him produce these same results after the midway mark. But, I mean, in boxing, I can honestly tell you, you don't want it to go longer. If you can get someone out of there, you got to get him out of there, especially a guy like James Kirkland. I've seen that. When Kirkland was hurt and went down in the third round, Canelo attacked him viciously, like beast mode, because he realizes who was in front of him, and he's like, I got to get this motherfucker out of here. I'm not doing this all night. And much props to the young Canelo for understanding that. You don't let guys hang around. Even look at guys like Mikey Garcia and Orlando Salido. Garcia was dominating. Then it looked like Salido started to get slightly a second win. So you don't let guys hang around. If you can dispose of them, don't be economical with your punches. Get them the fuck out of there, which is precisely what Canelo did. Bravo. I fuck with Canelo. I told you this is why. And again, stop comparing, or at least to me, asking me what I think about this fight versus this fight when they're nothing alike. You know what I mean? That's like comparing Dumb and Dumber to The Departed. They're nothing alike, so there is no comparison. You know what I mean? I could like one comedy, but I can also like the gangster drama suspense flick. You know what I mean? So I liked it. I enjoyed it. But when you hear me talk about the Gotti list, it's not because I don't like action fights. I don't care. I like boxing, period. So this was a short night. Now I'm going to go get something to eat, and I'm good. I'll tune in to me and follow the channel. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next videos, Ego, signing off.